Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for our training session on performance management. We will have, as you know, some of us are in person today, and then we also have people joining us remotely via Teams. And just to start with, I'm going to apologise because I have been a little unwell, so if my voice does start to go a little bit funny, I'll just have a quick drink of water. So I'll apologise for that in advance. So as I said, today's training session is on performance management, and let's make a start. Okay, so from today's training, our objectives are to have a greater understanding of performance management at LTTM and the Med Health Group, to be able to identify the parts of the LTTM performance management, appreciate how performance management is aligned to our values, policies and objectives, to know when each part of performance management is required during different workplace scenarios, and understand why performance management is important at LTTM, and LTTM being a part of the wider Med Health Group. Okay, so before we make a start on the material, let's have a reflection within the team of what do you already know about performance management?
Yeah, wasn't performance management when someone is underperforming and not doing their job well?
That's a really good point. That is one part of the performance management procedure, but there is a lot more to performance management other than just poor performance. What we want to look at with performance management is how can we make the best performing team. So thank you for sharing that insight. Is there any other insights into performance management, what we know already? No. All right, well, so hopefully by today's training session, what we'll be able to do is to show that performance management isn't necessarily negative. It can be a positive experience as well. So let's have a look. So performance management is a system that is designed to assist the team to do their jobs in the best of their ability. It's an essential system for our workplace to have. Overall, performance management is essential to the sustainable development of our capacity within LTTM and the wider Med Health Group. It has a measurable impact on job satisfaction, so that's good for the team, and the commitment of the team to the values, the objectives, and what we want to achieve, but also the financial performance of LTTM and overall the Med Health Group. So that's what it is. As we don't actually have sufficient time to learn about all the parts of performance management, we're actually going to focus on a few key areas. However, let's have a look at the moment about all the different parts of performance management. So performance management here at LTTM includes our structure and our position descriptions, our recruitment and selection process, induction, learning and development, managing for excellence, succession planning. And succession planning, just want to touch on that a little bit because I know that we have 2 parental leaves coming up. So for example, succession planning is starting to look at, okay, well, Emma is going to be starting her maternity leave soon and she's a TL, and we need to start having a look at who else within the organisation would like to go into a TL role, but also what goals do they need to achieve, what training, what learning and development do we need. That's what we mean by succession planning. And the next one is grievances and dispute resolution. But today, what we're going to have a look at is the position descriptions, the formal performance management process, including the yearly appraisals and salary increases, and documentation to support performance management process. And what happens if there is underperformance? And the reason why we're going to focus on those aspects today is because that's the feedback that I received from the team about they're the ones that they want to know about the most today. Okay, so in terms of the position descriptions, for those that weren't here prior to acquisition, or new starters, the position descriptions were all updated in 2024 to ensure that they fell in line with the vision, the purpose of the wider MedHealth group as well. But as a part of transitioning to the Managing for Excellence system in December 2024, the position descriptions were updated and shared with the team. And then, as you know, feedback was received and we made those required changes. Recently, all new team members have their position descriptions sent to them as part of the onboarding process completed by our talent acquisition team. So for the new starters here today, they would have received their position descriptions from Charlotte, our talent acquisition advisor. Then in induction, the position descriptions are discussed and any questions answered. A part of this discussion includes highlighting how the position descriptions align with the organisation values, policies and objectives. What the position descriptions define the purpose of the position, the duties and responsibilities, necessary competencies and key result areas clearly for each team member. And so in key result areas, we talk about our billable KPIs, but also the values in which we need to uphold and display. And our position descriptions provide a basis for staff development and training for those already in a particular position. So for example, sorry about that. So they do provide that basis for staff development, as I was saying. So within your position description, if there's certain tasks and duties that you should be completing or you're finding challenging, well then we can turn them into goals and focus learning and development on that. So for example, we have one of our senior OTs who one of the things on a position description is being able to do manual handling plans, and she's finding that she hasn't done a lot of that. So we're using the position description to form some learning and development. So then that senior OT is spending some time with our team leader and developing those manual handling skills and knowledge. And also for team members aspiring to the next position or another position. So for example, when Jordan went from being an OT to a senior OT, we went through the position description and had a look at what other skills and knowledge did Jordan need to develop in order to become a senior occupational therapist. Okay, so in terms of formal performance management, so managers are responsible for monitoring the performance of all team members and providing them with feedback as part of an end of year review, say every 12 months. The team member undertakes a self-review against the performance indicators of their role and submits this to the manager for review in advance of their end of year review meeting. The manager reviews the team member's self-review then prepares their own ratings in preparation for the review meeting. During the end-of-year review, the manager reviews the performance, incorporating a review rating and feedback from peers and customers where relevant. The meeting discussion, including goals and development plan, is recorded by the manager, and that's part of the Managing for Excellence system that we have, which is new to us. And then as a part of that yearly review, we look at salary reviews, but sometimes there's some of us here that, because of when acquisition was and we did the salary reviews then, that happens on an anniversary date, not at their annual reviews. So that's how it's a little bit different for some team members here. Okay, but the formal performance management or your annual review, that informs the salary review. So what I mean by that is, if you have a positive annual review, well then we move to the salary review. But if there's some performance issues, we may just have to pause the salary review until such times as those performance issues are worked out. Okay. So when performance isn't going as planned, so as earlier pointed out, some people think that's all performance management is when performance isn't going as planned. As we've already learnt through the training session already, it is a lot more to performance management than just when it's not going well. However, we do need to acknowledge that as a part of performance management, there is those times where performance isn't going as planned, and that's when we need to look at performance improvement plans. So overall, performance management is essentially the sustainable development of capacity within organisations. And we need to be able to acknowledge when, that the job performance isn't going well. So then we move to what we call performance improvement plans, in which I will show you an example to talk you through, or we will show you the template just to show you that it's not scary. But then we move on to, if the performance improvement plan doesn't go well, then we move to formal performance meetings and potentially a written warning. I'll be honest, in my time as business partner, I've never had to go to the formal performance meeting part or next part of the process. So that does show performance improvement plans. They're just that. They're important. They're a way to improve your performance so that we don't have to get to the performance formal performance meeting. It should be seen as a way to try and help individuals achieve performance. Okay, so I just wanted to show you an example or the template for the performance improvement plan. So it sort of demystifies that, it's not that scary. It's not a exit plan. It's a way to improve your performance. So it will give like the expectation that we're supposed to be seeing, where the gap is, and some examples. But then we'll move on to, well, what are we going to do about it? So what is going to be the performance targets? What are the agreed actions? And that would be agreed between yourself and myself to work out how we can continue to improve your performance, who's responsible for that, and a date of review. So generally we would meet weekly through a performance improvement plan to monitor the performance. So as you can see, not that scary, so that we can, if that does get to that situation, we'll be very supportive through that. So one of the things in addition to the Managing for Excellence system that we have, which is online, we also have supporting documentation at the MedHealth group level and at a local level. So we have, I've popped there the link for the supporting documents at a MedHealth level. Sorry, my voice is starting to crack up. I apologise. And also some of the documents that we have at a local level as well, such as, you know, our clinical supervision templates and our huddle minutes as well. So I just thought, in terms of the MedHealth group, it's called, if you go onto the intranet, it's called the Human Resources Management Procedure. This is what it looks like, and these are the things that it covers. And there's the link to the MedHealth Human Resource Management Procedure. Okay, well, so in terms of the material I was going to cover today, that's what I was going to cover for this training. I just wanted to highlight, though, just quickly, that all of the parts to the performance management system here at LTTM and the MedHealth group are informed by legislation. So they are informed by, you know, the Fair Work legislation, such as the Fair Work Act of 2009. They're informed by the Work Health and Safety Act of 2011, and also privacy and confidentiality. And I suppose to also highlight that performance management just isn't for like that individual level, that it's also an organisational level as well. So how are we performing at an organisational level? So I again apologise about my voice today. Thank you for your patience. Was there any questions about the training material that we just has been through?
Yeah. How will I know when my annual review is due?
Well, the really exciting thing is, compared to our old system where I kept a spreadsheet and I have to check the spreadsheet to see when everyone's annual review was coming up, with the Managing for Excellence system, we actually get email alerts. So you'll get an email alert, I'll get an email alert. We need to then book in a time. And it keeps sending us those email alerts until we complete it, so we won't forget it. So that's really a really exciting change. Is there any other questions?
I haven't used the new Managing for Excellence system yet. How does it work compared to our old paper system?
So for those that were here when we still used the old paper system, it was a really long form. It felt a little bit repetitive. The new Managing for Excellence system is electronic, so it all has drop-down boxes, so for example, with the values section, it has the value, it has an explanation, and then you can give yourself a rating. And then there's further areas for job competencies and then general feedback, but also where we can add in goals for the next 12 months as well. So Noah has done it, so has Chris, and they have said it is it's really good. And Jess and Jordan, who had done the old paper system but were there as clinical supervisors this time, even they were blown away with how much more effective it is, but also meaningful. It felt very goal orientated, but also you weren't just ticking a box, so to speak. Any other questions?
Yeah, just one more. Are there any warning signs that I'm about to go on to a PIP?
Good question. It shouldn't be a surprise when someone needs to go on to a PIP. There'll be a lot of pre-meetings in terms of you'll have your weekly clinical supervision, and it will come clear during the weekly supervision that there is performance issues. In those weekly supervision sessions, I might start to come to them as well, so we can start having some informal discussions before we move to a PIP. But no, there shouldn't be a surprise if you ever need to. Lovely. So is there any other questions today? No. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I do appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone's understanding and patience on my voice. And do reach out if you have any questions in relation to this training, and we'll follow up each step of the way if there is any new parts that come into the performance management system. Okay, thank you.